In this video, we will be reviewing a £50,000 gallery on Sorare. They're stuck for what to do, so I'm going to give my input. The gallery today is Jay Fraz's friend of the channel, Jay Fraz Jets, he calls them. So yeah, £51,000 gallery. We're looking at a serious player on Sorare, but the first thing that stands out, 625 cards, 543 limited cards. I have no idea how that man can manage that team. That must be like 2 full-time jobs. But anyway, let's get into some of the stats, right? We've covered the gallery value. His best winning card, Diogo Costa, probably doesn't want to get rid of him. Reward winning lineup percentage, I think this is a good place to start for like a general analysis. You know, 11.84%, it's good. Not great, especially for someone that started, you know, in 2020, you know, right at the beginning of the game. You know, would have had a lot easier chances to try and take advantage of things, get prices a little bit cheaper, things like that. But overall, it's very strong. After that, I went and checked like how he's doing in his kind of like results recently, and he's got a first place in Cap 240 rares. So whatever I do say here, take with a pinch of salt, Jay, because you might know better than me if you're winning Cap 240 rare. But obviously, he just wants my input. He just wants a second opinion. Doesn't mean I think I'm better than him. Doesn't mean I think I have all the answers. It's just a different way to look at the same picture. And obviously, we need to drill down into these rewards a little bit more than just a percentage, because a lot of players on this game play the game in different strategies. So, you know, one of them is like a boom or bust approach I take, where you either want to finish really high up in the leaderboards, get the best rewards, or get nothing, or you want to consistently be in amongst the prizes, winning as much as you can, making that compound and getting better as time goes on. I think Jay probably leans towards the right side just from, you know, being friendly with him, seeing how he plays and how he does. And yeah, looking at it, you know, in rare, rewards 5 days ago, 8 days ago, 12 days ago, really consistently, always in the points, hitting rewards. Yes, you would expect that to a degree with a gallery this size, but I think he's, you know, overachieving in the rare division. Importantly, if you look up to the into the super rare division, sorry, not having that same effect. So 12 days ago and then 5 months. So we'll look at how much like valuation he has locked up in super rares, because it might not be something he focuses on, especially with only 21 in the gallery. And then if you look at the limiteds, it's pretty much the same story as what we saw in the rare division. Consistent rewards. The only part I do want to bring up here, I don't, you know, none of these players really stand out as top prizes. You know, if you are having 543 cards in limited and you do have a gallery valuation this size, I think you probably should be winning, you know, decent cards. And that doesn't mean there aren't decent cards involved in it, but this many names without seeing, you know, the first one I see here, Matthijs de Ligt from 4 months ago of like a decent value. So yeah, that's a nice starting spot for us, I think. So I've had a chat with Jay, just find out a little bit about his gallery, because obviously this is unique to everyone. You don't just want to say how I want to play the game. So for him, his key division is under 23s. A couple of players that are just not for sale, he wants to hold forever. Camavinga, De Ligt, Diogo Costa, and Alphonso Davies. Huge, absolute great players. I don't really have any issues with any of them anyway, so good that he's keeping on that. And then in terms of further investment or taking money out, he's happy where he is. He just, you know, happy to keep it the same, not putting anything in, not putting anything out. Maybe just spice it up a little bit, win a little bit more. You can always be better at the game, I think. So yeah, that's kind of where he lies on that. In terms of the gallery valuation then, let's just take this as a very broad approach. These numbers aren't going to be perfect. They change every time. Every day there'll be an auction. It will change the value of cards. But roughly in limited, he's got about £3,600 worth. In rare is where he really kind of excels gallery value-wise at £40,000 worth of cards. And super rares, he's only got 4,000. So when I said before he wasn't winning very much, it's because he's not spent very much on these cards. And yeah, probably doesn't care about the divisions too much. It's not going to be a priority, especially when he said his key division is under 23. In regards to how that gallery valuation is split out, Champion Europe takes up £23,000 of that. Challenger Europe, £14,000. Asia and America, £7,000. And second division, £806. I've already reached out to Jay and said, I don't really see the point in you playing America or Asia on like a £7,000 budget. He's got some good cards, but he's not got the Messis, he's not got the Gils, he's not got the Hani Mukhtars, people like that. So if you're just doing it for a little bit of fun over summer, I would actually focus away. Like most of your gallery valuation is in Europe anyway. Just transition all of it. You're just wasting £7,000 essentially, in my opinion, of course. Same for the second division cards, unless there's a very particular reason you own them. just get rid of them. I know they're probably not worth a lot. In fact, I have checked them and a lot of them aren't worth a lot. The most expensive might be £100. But, just get them in a trade to Pavel, because they are taking up kind of like the capital that you can deploy in this game. And like, you could get better players for that £800 somewhere else. And just touch on as well, he's got about just shy of £7,000 in other sports. So NBA or MLB. I'm not going to get involved in that. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he enjoys it. I see him posting about it, so we'll just keep that as it is. I think the first thing that just springs to mind here that I want to clear up is I don't think anything dramatic needs to change. We've seen you win a division recently. You're consistently picking up rewards. Nothing is going too far wrong. We'll just try and spice it up, and I'll give my opinion on like particularly some of your players that I might keep or get rid of. But a very important part of the game, and people always ask, is, what division should you be playing in? And since under 23 is his focus, I'm just looking at the last couple of game weeks on my own statistics. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they're, the stats I use to determine what divisions and what leagues to play. But looking at limited, rare, rare pro, and super rare, because that's kind of where he can position his gallery. And looking at it then, in limited to rare, the jump up in kind of return is about 10x. It's kind of what you would expect. And I hear a lot of people talk about going into Rare Pro because the benefits are that you can, play across 2 divisions. It's great fun and the rewards are better. Now, I do agree with that, but my statistics disagree. So I'm going to, side with my statistics. Essentially, my statistics say that playing Rare Pro in under 23 particularly is only 2 times better than playing the Rare division. So if you can go out and find super rares for 2x their rare price, go do it. But the problem is you can't. Most of them are trending towards 5 or 6x, and on the higher end or better playing cards, even higher than that. So yeah, maybe that's not the best option. I'm looking at super rares and 6.9x I have the number is. So if you can get super rares for under 6, it'd probably be a good idea. But of course, it all depends on what super rares you buy and how well they perform, like every card, right? If you're getting the very low end, bottom tier cards and it adds up to 6x, it's not going to have an impact. You still need to reach that minimum points requirement. So what I'm going to speak about next is obviously the minimum points requirement. Looking at limited, surprisingly, and this is why I just say they're my numbers, you might have different ones, but limited is one of the lowest points required. But again, it's important to remember at that bottom value, you are getting next to nothing in limited. These cards could be, unsellable. Rare 313 points compared to Rare Pro 335. Obviously, we spoke about before that Rare Pro rewards are slightly better, but that requires better points at the same start. So I'm not crazy about Rare Pro. If you did want to dip into super rares, that is, in line with limited in terms of the points required. So 305 points I have the number as. I do think that could be an option. And even better is maybe playing, the cap 240 super rare thresholds. So you have the ability to, earn off that. And then maybe playing cap 220 if you're missing a goalkeeper or something like that. I had a little bit of success on a really low budget with that at the start. So yeah, I don't think that's out of the realms of possibility. I just do think the big issue is going to be like a super rare goalkeeper. On top of that, you also play under 23. So if you're going to specialize in under 23 to then play in, an all-star division essentially where anyone can play, it doesn't make complete sense, because you've got the most expensive cards on the game going in with some of the cheapest cards on the game. So yeah, a little bit of thinking to be done. There are 2 immediate thoughts that come to mind looking at Jay's gallery here. With a £51,000 gallery, to have a maximum player valuation of £1,200, it seems on the low side, like 2%. Now, I think Jay's one of these people that doesn't want to spend too much on one player because of the risk. They get injured and you're wasting, 10, 20% of your gallery. I've been there with Kevin De Bruyne. It's not a fun situation to be in. So I'm not suggesting that, but I do think we can increase this in terms of I think you're lacking a little bit of quality. I think you've gone for more, depth over quality, and I think you need to merge it a little bit better. It'll help you out. You won't have to manage 625 cards. We'll bring that number down, and we just get a couple of star players, like a Vinicius Jr. or a Erling Haaland or someone like that, an under 23 monster that can just fit in that gallery and do well. Now, I can give my suggestion who I think it is, but that's also the best part of the game, right? Going out and picking, this is going to be my star player. My ride or die player is this man. So I'll let you do that for yourself. My second point that I want to bring up as what I'd call an easy win here is what I use in actually my Sorare journey, and it's what I call kind of like the hedge. So if your best division is under 23 rare, I think you should be hedging with some cards that you're not using in the limited division. It doesn't seem like you've done that to me. Feel free to let me know if you have, but you've got like a Liverpool stack. You've got some probably of your favorite players or some of the best players that you just want to have in the gallery, and that's completely fine. But I would like you to pick up some more of the best under 23 players in the world and put them in a like just the best limited under 23 lineup you can, so that when your rare team isn't doing so well, maybe because you've got the killers in the divisions that will take up all the points, maybe they can kind of cover you a little bit, so you're just like you're consistently winning even more. That's kind of how it works in my brain. Obviously there's a lot of different cards on the platform, so it can be hard to do, but I think it works. And say you get two teams, like 10 of the best limited cards, right, and you'll have depth options as well. You can run one in All-Star and try and pick up the best rewards there as well. It's not optimal, but when you're playing on limiteds on just a very small percentage of your gallery, it helps you win better things, and I think that's kind of what you need at the minute. Jay is clearly a man after my own heart, because he has planned out all of his under 23 teams, including all of the depth options he can have, what he thinks is his best team. I've done this before. I think it really helps you. In terms of the team though, I don't get that buzz, and maybe that's why you're looking for a gallery switch up, because the players are great. I just don't know if they work together well. So Diogo Costa, for example, is the starting goalkeeper. I don't really have a problem with him. I think he's great. Matthijs de Ligt, fantastic scorer on the game. I think he's great. Camavinga, great project player that I call. He's merging into being like an SO5 asset, but he's still just a bit young. Jude Bellingham coming into the team, how does that, affect him? Does he go back to left back, consistently playing there? Very much the same with Rodrigo. So obviously you get that stack between Real Madrid players, but there's going to be a lot more rotation this year. I feel like it won't be as consistent as, knowing who's going to play. So to have them in your best team and in like a £40,000, under 23 Champion Europe kind of rare approach, I don't like it too much. And it's same for like Alphonso Davies. Fantastic player in real life. He's got more competition from Rafael Guerrero now. I don't like having him in your best team. You are really missing that star player, like I mentioned before, Vinicius Jr. He worked perfect in your stack, right? Florian Wirtz. And in your first best team, I do think you want a bit of stacking in there. Now, this is very difficult in under 23s. Defensive stacks are hard to come about. You can do it in the more like attacking midfield positions. So yeah, if you can stack players like the Real Madrid players we spoke about, I think it's positive. The issue I'm seeing at the moment is flick into your gallery. There's not a lot of collection bonus going on. Now, I know this is new, it's just rolled out, but your collection bonuses are in, Salt Lake, Philadelphia, CSK Moscow. And I'm not suggesting selling these cards. I'm just saying in your under 23 focus, let's say you go for Real Madrid. Get loads of Real Madrid cards just alongside that you can boost up your collection bonus. Now, this is something personally I'm taking way over the top, if you want to call it over the top, and I'm doing it at the start of next season. I'm not against that. I do think that's a good idea. But because you've got a couple of Real Madrid cards at the minute, in terms of your actual like bonus, you're at 1%. That's probably not going to be good enough long-term on Sorare. You need to be building this up. You might have, or you definitely will have, different cards from different years. Get them swapped out, or either get them all sold and buy back at the start of next season, and then just, roll out that team. So quick recap, you need a little bit more quality in your rare division players. I think your limited division players could hedge a little bit better, get some better under 23 options in there, like, Mbappe's aging out, but Mbappe wasn't there, for example. And then the collection bonus. I think you need to start thinking, or maybe start implementing ways that you can improve your collection bonus, because every point is going to matter. And the longer this game goes on, the more important every point matters. In terms of like, how am I going to do this then? You're obviously going to need to clear out some players. I've discussed Asia, America, I think they should go. Second division cards can probably go as well, all to strengthen. But even some of your best teams, I think you can work on. If you've got both Bart and Diogo Costa, they're essentially like the best two cards you can get in the under 23 division. I think it's a bit wasted that one of them is going to be playing an All-Star or somewhere else every week. Now, we could upgrade to Rare Pro and then you can use them both, for example. But as I spoke about in my numbers, I'm actually not crazy about Rare Pro. So I would just get rid of one of them. Now, you still need depth, right, in under 23 goalkeepers, right? You can't just have one, because if they get injured, it's all over for you. But I don't think you should have them at equally your highest valuation. I think you can use that money better elsewhere. And I think it shows that, your second best card on your own spreadsheet is probably your goalkeeper. And of course, there's some great players in here that you can mix in, but you definitely need a little bit more quality. And I think you can afford that by getting rid of, in my opinion, I'd get rid of Bart. I've seen him linked to Brighton. Players having, one season at Anderlecht and then going to Brighton. I heard people talking about him getting a starting job. For me, it's just not going to happen. Victor Osimhen, he's aging out, isn't he? So if you are focusing on under 23, you might need to get rid of who I'm going to assume is one of your favourite players. Bijlo is a good valuation, probably a good player, but Yeah, I'm not leaning towards Challenger Europe unless they're under 23. Now, the thing is, you've got so much valuation locked up in your under 23 players. I think you also need to be spreading that out to champion players as well. The reason for that is that they're both the most expensive cards on the game. Going into the most expensive divisions would make the most sense, and it is the only option you should really be taking, right? So if you do that, then you can free up some money. The super rares, they just seem out of place as well. Like an American super rare mixed with a Challenger super rare mixed with another Challenger super rare. I'm not against you trying out a couple of super rares so you have that option of rare pro, or maybe you try 220 super rare so you can play, really kind of low stakes in super rare terms. But yeah, at the moment it just seems a little bit all over the place. So there's some ways to get funds, and ultimately it's just down to you. Who is wasting your time in your gallery? Like, there'll be so many players here in a 600, rare player gallery where you just don't need them. You're just buying them for the sake of them. Like Zaniolo, for example, he was fantastic at Roma. He's made a move. I don't think he's done anything, but you can get £137 for him. There'll be plenty of options like this, and the quickest way to do this is for a trader like Pavel Trade or any of those guys. Take the 20% hit. I'm not against that. I wouldn't advise it as like the best case option. I would get as many players as you can listed, raise up these funds, as many players that you don't care about or you don't think you're going to prioritize for next year. Like Timo Werner, great player, not fitting into your under 23 strategy, not going to be good enough to be playing in Champion Europe forward as your only forward every week. So yeah, again, just condense your gallery down. It is too much depth, which I've never seen before, and it will save you so much time. You probably have a lot more free time in your weekends, mate. I think we covered some really good points. The only other thing I'm going to mention, and this was apparent when I initially viewed the gallery, and it was kind of one of the first thoughts I picked up on, and then I was like, oh, I'm not really sure if this is a strong point or not, but I'm going to mention it regardless. I think there might be what I call too many project players in the gallery. A project player is someone like Ryan Gravenberch or Warren Zaire-Emery, where they're probably going to be one of the best players in the world, but it might take you 5 years. So rather than sitting on them for 5 years and wasting their gallery, wasting gallery valuation on that player, just buy them in 4 or 5 years when they start making that breakthrough. It's someone like Cherky, right? He's been in and amongst it, awful scores for 4 years. This is kind of his breakout season where he's finally getting consistent game time. Now would probably be a good time to buy him, right? Or, a couple months back regardless. They're the kind of options where you don't want to just completely ignore those sort of players. Like we've seen it with Musiala, for example. That was his breakout year. If you've got him before his breakout year, you're buying him at half the gallery value. I think that's great. But you want to be doing it at the right time with the right players. You don't want to be buying all the best young talent in the world, wasting all that gallery valuation, because really the game's about winning SO5. If you win SO5, you can get these players for yourself, then you can use them. That's kind of the best route into it rather than just sitting on them hoping for the best. Camavinga, I think, someone that you've clearly done it with and it's worked really well. You just need to have that little bit of information like, when's Gravenberch going to get in this Bayern team? When's he actually going to be starting? I think it'll be a while. He wouldn't be someone I'm looking for. And this comes down to your own football knowledge and your own expectations, really. It's what makes you very good at the game. Like I know you've had great success in this game. So maybe just narrow down on your project players a little bit. Even Rodrigo, he's very expensive and he's still quite project player-like. He's getting a bit more minutes now, I know that, but it's not guaranteed, right? You can go out and get players that will put up massive scores, a guaranteed start every week, and I think that's where your gallery needs to transition. That's my biggest tip for you. So I think that's pretty much my thoughts on your gallery, mate. If any of you have enjoyed this, please leave it a like, leave it a comment. Let me know if you want to, have your gallery reviewed. Let me know something interesting about it, why I might care. Like Jay's obviously I care about because it's such a big gallery valuation. It's so many different players, and I think there's ways to improve it. So give me something to work with there. But besides that, please like, please subscribe. All the best to you. Cheers.